The added layer of complexity that comes with this is whether changes in technology and the nature of the system itself will either accelerate or broaden, create the ability actually to have multiple reserve currencies, which has always been talked about, but in actual fact extremely difficult to have because it tends to switch to one or another. Just quickly, these things go on for longer than they, quote, should. There's huge network effects being the reserve currency. We're still in a world where 50% plus of global trade is invoiced in the dollar, 70% of reserves are in the dollar. Depending on how you count it, roughly the same proportion of the world's currencies are either directly tied or shadow the dollar, and that is self-reinforcing. So it will, and yet the US is 15% plus or so of PPP global growth. That asymmetry between its importance in the system and its relative real weight is causing bigger and bigger strains in the global monetary system. But it isn't in and of itself self-correcting. And I guess my comments would be, A, it's going to go on for longer than you'd expect, first point. Secondly, that as exactly as Stan said, the internationalization of the renminbi will be as important for an eventual adjustment, but very much as Mario just said, that, I mean, these goods are goods in and of themselves, a common safe asset banking union and a capital markets union. They happen also to be a prerequisite to be in the top tier of global reserve currencies. Last point is that in general, this has shifted with relative economic weight. And the question is that the added layer of complexity that comes with this is whether changes in technology and the nature of the system itself will either accelerate or broaden, create the ability actually to have multiple reserve currencies, which has always been talked about, but in actual fact extremely difficult to have because it tends to switch to one or another.
And when we asked people on Twitter to put forth questions to the panelists, one of the issues that came up a lot was...
One came up from the president, actually.
I think that was more ad hoc, but one of the issues that did come up a lot was that of digital currencies, of central bank digital currencies, but also of digital currencies in general. Today we've seen the launch of the Facebook digital currency, the Libra, so would you be able to offer us your thoughts on that development?
Well, a couple comments. First, let's put it in context, which is that there is I don't think it's an overstatement to say there's a revolution going on in payments. It's very unequal, though. In some jurisdictions, you can have real-time, bank-to-bank, instantaneous, and very low-cost payments, and in others, not, including many advanced economies. It's still extremely expensive to send money across borders. And a lot of people are unbanked effectively because of that. So that needs to change, and the technology is there to change. And so it's into that context that something like Libra comes. And so I think we need to have an open mind about its potential utility, first point. Second point is that anything that works in this world will become instantly systemic and will have to be subject to the highest standards of regulation. So that's of operational resilience, including cyber. It's of anti-money laundering, counter-terrorist financing protections. It would include something being effectively an open platform so that others can join and it's seamless. Data privacy would be required. And then as central banks, we have to look at how the system's evolving to ensure that we can continue to deliver what people expect. They may not be able to quantify it, but they know when it's not there, monetary and financial stability. So you would expect that, and well, I mean, it's clear that this development, we will look at it very closely and in a coordinated fashion at the level of the G7, the BIS, the FSB, and the IMF. So open mind, but not open door, highest standards.